everybody, and welcome to another episode of Gamer Gab. Today, we are going to talk about the video game called Apex Legends. I have Quizo joining me today.
Hello.
We've both been playing since it first started?
Yep, day one.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, it was day one, right? I don't think we got to beta test it, but I don't know if they brought out a beta test or not.
Yeah, we weren't special enough for
that. But if you don't know what Apex Legends is a Battle Royale style game. They have made so many changes to this game. So many changes since when it first came out. So we are going to discuss what we like and what we don't like about the game. Changes and everything. So far I don't like anything new, but that's just because I played originally.
You just don't like new things, that's all.
No, I do. It's just I don't like when you change something that had a system that was working. But I do like some of the new guns they've added though. Some of the new guns are pretty sweet. I gotta say that. And some of the new maps are kind of neat.
For all their ups and downs with changes to the meta, like they have actually done a really good job with the guns.
Yeah.
They've had some good times and some bad times, some definitely bad times with balance on the weapons, but I think they figured out what they need to do. So guns are definitely an up point, I would think, at this point.
Oh yeah, guns have definitely gotten better. I remember when one time you could only get, what was it, the L star and the dropship, and now you can just pick it up anywhere on the map.
Well, they regularly switch things in. Like the RE45 is in the care package now, and you know that's been there the whole game. But man, is it nasty! Like the care package version is just, I love that gun. I've always liked that gun, but
I haven't seen that one.
The red version is just, whew.
We might have to find it one time so I can give it a try, because I've only seen the regular. I've noticed it's a little harder to get gold armor too now.
They with the gold, especially the gold armor and backpack and all the stuff that was like the cream of the crop at the beginning of the game. They made so many changes to it, and they have made it harder to get. Like it's very hard to get gold armor, gold backpack, gold helmet. But they also don't do the same things that they did 4 years ago.
Right? Isn't it now that you have to do damage to rank up your armor?
For the regular armor, yeah. It used to be that, when it first started, each armor was just that armor, and you picked up a blue and it was always blue, and you picked up a purple, it was always purple. But now,
right.
The Evo armor, it evolves as you do damage. So white armor after 150 damage or so becomes blue armor, and then after another 500 damage becomes purple armor, and then so on and so forth until it goes all the way up to red.
Yeah, I kind of don't like the Evo armor really, but And I hate the fact that now you have to get points in order to get upgrades too. I don't know. I find it kind of dumb.
Well,
those the only changes I really don't like is if you want good armor, you have to destroy people, or you have to get it in the drop ship, or you have to run around and get enough points to get it.
I don't disagree with the plan. Like, I mean, it is a battle royale. They want people to actually fight against each other. It stops campers. Like, it really does.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it makes it hard if, like us, which seems to happen to us every time we play, I swear. We land in a place and then we don't see anyone until the end game. So we only get what we get until we get to the squads that have been fighting everybody else for the rest of the game, and then all their armor and weapons are so much better than ours.
Yeah. I've noticed that. I don't understand how.
Well, because your friendly neighborhood Quizo does not like hot dropping.
No, I don't either. Hot dropping. Yeah, no.
For anyone who doesn't know, hot dropping is when you immediately drop as soon as the game starts and land right on top of everybody else. And, it's basically a coin flip whether you get weapons, whether you get armor, whether you get killed, whether you win. Like, very little skill involved at that point. It's all dumb luck. I don't have the best
Right.
luck.
No, I don't either. Most of the guns we find too aren't really the best guns. And it kind of sucks that they started doing that to where, like, if you don't hot drop, you don't get the best stuff.
When I think it's
Because,
less
I
the
don't know.
because I mean, like I said, when you hot drop, it's complete chance. There may or may not be anything. I've hot dropped onto literally an empty ground before, where there should have been stuff, or dropped onto a place where I was like, oh, there's definitely two supply bins. There's two pads worth of stuff on the floor over here. This is a great place to pick stuff up, and it's all attachments or med kits, like no weapons. So it's less that there's
Yeah.
good stuff on the hot drop as it is as people are fighting, whoever's left over gets their pick of all the stuff.
Okay, so Apex came out in February 2019 for PlayStation 4, Windows, and Xbox One. And then for Nintendo Switch came out in March 2021. And now it's out for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S in March of 2022. You were able to play this on mobile, but they have removed that as of offline as of on May 1st of 2023. So that's when it went. So it's not quite there yet, but it's about to. So just so everyone knows, if you go looking for the game, that's how long it's been out, that's where it is, and where it won't be. I don't know. I like some of the new maps, but at the same time, they're really confusing.
They're definitely more complicated than they used to be. And they've done that
Yes.
with reason. Like every time they have this big conversation about maps, oh, well, Kings Canyon was just such an easy map. And well, yeah, it was, but there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
And now they are super
There was
complicated.
nothing about that. Let's see. See if I can't find the name of all the Apex maps so we can. So we've got Broken Moon, Kings Canyon, World's Edge, Olympus, and Storm Point are the other ones that seem to be popping
And
up.
those are the 5 maps that are out as of today. And
Okay. And they've changed Kings Canyon quite a lot. Because I remember when we first played on Kings Canyon, and it looks nothing like it does now.
no, and that is one of the things that I do love about the game, or used to love about the game, is the lore and the changes over the
Yes.
seasons. The so much stuff has been happening in the background of the games that has affected the whole map
The
of
maps.
every world. Different
Yeah.
corporations taking over different things, different characters coming in and having their background stories coming to cause mayhem and chaos. So there's a lot of lore which has actually changed the maps and it's kept the story moving, which is good. Um, but yeah, as far as just the maps themselves, for all the changes, Kings Canyon is still a fun map. Like it's still a
Oh,
great
it is.
map. But
World's Edge has
World's
changed
Edge
too,
has
hasn't it?
changed lots.
I thought so.
World's Edge is. I mean, it was just like, oh, this place is half hot and half cold, and then they had the one corporation come in and start destroying the planet to pull more energy out of it. So there's a lot more craters and fissures and places to fall into and places to fall off of, and but then yeah, these newer maps.
Ah, it was
Yeah.
Hammond Robotics.
That's them. You'd think I'd remember that as a Revenant main,
And
because Revenant
isn't
hates Hammond.
right? I was like, isn't Hammond the one that Revenant went after, and Lobo is the daughter that's coming after him for killing Hammond?
No, that's her father wasn't Hammond. Her father was just
Oh,
some
okay.
high level.
Some
Well,
high level. Okay. I couldn't remember if he ran Hammond or if he
oh,
was just some
he
high
wasn't
level
even a
guy
high level
in
guy in
Hammond.
Hammond. He was a high level like thief, assassin. Like he was,
Oh,
Black
okay.
Ops all the way. Like he was a very bad guy.
I got you.
he what the thing with Revenant is that Revenant hates Hammond because Revenant technically worked for Hammond. Hammond created Revenant and all of the
Got
other
you.
Revenant bodies that exist out there, and the fact that Revenant has existed as a killer robot for 200 some years. Because every time he
Right.
dies, they just shunt him into another body and send that one out like nothing happened, except he remembers all of it. Very, very good.
Right. I didn't play on Olympus too much, but I didn't really like Olympus map too much.
Olympus was actually a pretty decent map. It took a while to get used to, but because it was so open. Kings Canyon had a lot of
Yeah.
walls. World's Edge had a lot of
Oh yeah.
walls. Um, Storm Point, and
Storm
Broken
Point has a
Moon have
lot
a
of
lot of freaking
walls.
crags and
Yeah.
pinch points, and it's nuts. Olympus is very open, long sight lines,
Oh
very
yeah.
sniper friendly. Um, which is
For
about
sure.
the only problem with that map. Like it sucks when you just have to go from point A to point B and there's nothing but open field to run through. Like everyone will
I
see you
know.
do it, and it's like, well, but otherwise, Olympus is a fun map. It took a while to get used to, but I did enjoy it. Storm Point and Broken Moon both feel similar to me in that they're oddly
They do.
shaped. The points of interest are weirdly placed. There's too many twists and turns and caverns and switchbacks and everything that everyone
Oh
hated
yeah.
about the original Kings Canyon, they seem to like in these new maps, and that blows my mind.
That's funny. I did like the fact that on Broken Moon, I believe, is where we can ride the tracks to go somewhere. I thought that was kind of neat.
That is one of the interesting things they've done. With every map, they've had some different traversal system. I mean, the first two
Yeah.
had the balloons, but the jump points or
Right.
whatever they're called, I forget. Um,
Jump
but
points, I think.
then every other map has had something different. The Olympus had the tridents that you could just ride in the cars, drive wherever you want. Storm Point has the gravity cannons. Just launch yourself in that direction pretty far. And then Broken Moon has
Yeah.
those has the rails you can ride. There's always some fun traversal system.
Yeah. And then they also brought out new gameplay. They have now where duos or trios, and then they also now have deathmatch, which is 6 versus 6. And they've got 3 maps for that. They've got Party Crasher, Habitat 4, and Skulltown. Habitat 4 I liked, and then of course I like Skulltown because Skulltown. I haven't been in the Party Crasher map. I don't think. If I have, I don't remember. But we don't play team deathmatch too often.
No, and they
So
were they were arenas maps before they were deathmatch maps. The arenas game, which
gotcha.
they had a lot of hope for, and wasn't terrible. It was a 3 versus 3 for a few rounds. To see who could get best of 3 or best of 5. I forget how it was, but that was an interesting game. Um,
It was.
the problem was if you went in and one of your players disconnected, you were probably screwed. Like then it became a
Right.
3-on-2 or a 3-on-1, and it just wasn't any fun. Um, they
No.
brought out a ranked version and they put penalties on it, but even the penalties didn't stop people. Especially since all you had to do was not leave and just sit there and not do anything. I fell victim to that lots
Right.
of times. Just either having bad teammates or having teammates that disconnected, and not even through any
Yeah.
fault of theirs, or possibly through fault of theirs. They could have unplugged their Xbox. I don't know. But in those
Right.
cases, it's impossible to win. And then you can't leave or you'll get penalized. So it
Yeah.
just became a griefer's paradise. At least with team deathmatch, 6-on-6, 6-on-5, same game technically. And you're not fighting just round by round. If you die, you come back in 10 seconds and you shoot again. So it's not that bad. It just becomes a kill count game. And
Yeah. They've also been adding characters. The original characters, if I remember this correctly, were Bangalore Bloodhound, Caustic Gibraltar, Lifeline, Mirage, Octane, Pathfinder, and Wraith. Are those the original ones that we started with, or did they add someone else in later? Or any of those in later? Were those the original ones that we started
I
with?
believe that's all the original ones, yes.
Okay. And then they've slowly added people in with stories. I loved the story they did to bring in Crypto and Lifeline, or not Lifeline, Watson. I wasn't really there for all of the stories for everybody else. I think I was there for Lobos, but that's about it. I kind of stopped playing after that, so I didn't see the one for Rampart or Valkyrie or Vantage or what little clues they brought in for those. But I was there for Crypto and Watson, and I believe Lobo.
Joe and Watson were back in the day when the stories were good. The original
Yeah.
characters didn't come in with any story really. Um,
No, they did
Bangalore
not.
Bloodhound, Caustic. You got their stories through gameplay and through stuff that came out. Wraith's
Yep.
story didn't start to come out until they added the labs on Kings Canyon, and you started to get story for her through that. So there were a lot of
Yeah.
people. Mirage is someone with tons of backstory, um, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
all from things. It's bits and pieces you
Mhm.
pick up. It's stuff that he says. It's uh, his his place as usually the second banana in a comic story or in an audio clip, or like everything about Mirage has just come out piece by piece, but so much about
It
him.
has.
Um, Whereas Pathfinder had entire arcs devoted to finding his creator and um, how he saved Olympus and all kinds of other things. So it's weird. And then Octane is currently at the center of a big arc because his father recently took over the Syndicate, which is the group that runs the games and also half the planets in the universe. So some of the characters have gotten a lot more story than others. Some of them, like
Oh
Seer,
yeah.
even though he's been more prominent in recent bits of story, he's still an unknown. He doesn't spend a lot of any time really in the limelight. You've just got a little bit of who he is. Um, Gibraltar's another one who's only really been a backstory character. There's a lot about him, but he's only been a co-star in like one or two bits. So it's very uneven the way they bring out the stories and the lore. But when they do, it's usually really good.
Yeah. I know that for the holidays they have the train. Isn't that
Yeah.
Mirage's train? And then they had his party boat. I actually really liked landing on the party boat when they had that. I don't know if they still
Well,
have that,
that's the map, the
but
Party Crasher map that you haven't played on Deathmatch. So Mirage's
ah,
Mirage's
okay.
ship crashed. He crashed it. He crashed it on
Gotcha.
Olympus. So that's the one map, is it's the broken boat on the ground.
Yeah, the train during Christmas is fun though. For sure.
The train is a very low stress, high stress mini game during the holidays.
It is. Like it's you play 3 rounds and it's like capture the flag, but it's called capture the train. So it's like that. It's whoever gets 3 captures wins. So it's something simple, but it's something fun.
I definitely wouldn't call it simple.
Well, I mean, it's not as in like simple
No.
as in that's just the gist. That's the simple gist. You just
Yeah, the
capture
premise
train.
is simple.
That's what I mean by simple. Right. That's what I mean by simple. The premise is simple, but
No.
fighting to get the train is not.
No, it isn't.
But like, I don't know. I'm glad they're making changes to make the game play easier instead of putting you up against like really hardcore players. I'm glad that they're trying to find a balance between that. It's kind of nice, especially like when we had Max join us, and he was low level, so it put us in to low level games or bots games or whatever. So that way it wasn't unfair to him with the fact that he was lower level than we were, and it just threw him to the wolves.
Yeah, what they've done for new players with that, I think they're calling them. I forget what they're calling them. But it's essentially if you're a brand new player, they put you into these bot lobbies. There might be one or two other real
Right.
teams in there. The rest of them it's all simple AI, so that you can play and not worry about getting destroyed right off the bat. Um, the bots are, I don't want to say easy to kill, but they're essentially using the same AI as the dummies in the firing range. So they're still shooting at you. They're still targeting you. They're still moving, but they're not moving quickly. They're not making high tech gamer moves. They're generally standing in one place and letting you shoot at them. So it's a lot
Right.
nicer as a way to help learn the game and help learn the mechanics. Definitely something I wish we'd had at the beginning, but at the beginning we didn't have a bunch
I
of
agree.
level 7,000 tryhards that have been playing the game for 12 hours a day for 4 years.
No, we did not. The game had literally just started, so it's like, okay, everyone goes to the wolves. Okay. And what's sad is you could see like my progression of how well I was doing when we first started playing till now, and it's really sad. I think it's just because the game's changed a lot and I've stepped back, but I don't know. I don't know if I would have kept going, if I would have gotten any better or not, to be honest.
So you would have been very similar to other games you play, like Fortnite. Like you're good enough at that you can win semi often, but you also play that all the time. And
Right, but that's because it's not sweating. I don't feel like I'm
right,
sweating to play
and
like
that's the
Apex.
biggest difference. No, I spent the first while, and my stats show it. Like the first 3 seasons, I was garbage. Season 4, I started actually getting better, and then for a handful of seasons, like I was doing okay, not great. I wasn't like a top player. I was an average player. But then there stopped being average
Yeah.
players, or my matchmaking just started saying, "Oh, he's good enough. He can go into this tier." Because the matchmaking is not still, and they've said they're working on it recently, but it's still not good enough to differentiate people into fair groups. So, this season I've lost every game I've played just about.
Yeah. I don't think the only reason why we won one game was because we're playing
Yeah.
a bot. And I didn't realize that until someone mentioned something. I was like, hey, I'm getting pretty good at this. Nope. Went into a normal lobby.
Yeah,
Never mind.
I didn't want to break your feeling good about it.
No, you're good. I'd rather be told the truth and be like, yeah, I did really good, and come to find out, no, you didn't, because it was bots. So they need to make that an option. I feel like instead of just the practice area, they actually need to make like a arena, to go in and practice, not just okay. Here's bots in a in the fighting area.
Yeah, but
I feel like
it becomes harder on the technical end for them to host that because right now, running one server for 60 players doesn't take up a lot of technical
Yeah.
space. But if now suddenly everyone wants to run their own server for 3 players, that's a lot more technical backend that's needed. It's a lot more server space, a lot more bandwidth. Even the firing range, when you go into the firing range, it looks like you're there by yourself, but you're actually there with heaven knows how many other people. You just can't see or interact with them most of the time. There are
Right.
certain things you can do in the firing range which, explosions might show across other people's games so that, while you're in the firing range seemingly by yourself, you'll see an explosion. Or someone can drop a hollow spray
Yeah.
in certain places and you'll see that. It's actually fun to try to interact with the other players that are in your firing range just by dropping hollow sprays and showing that you're there. It's a lot like graffitiing a bridge. It's just like, hi, I'm here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice that they're doing that for new players. I just hope that they, in their work with the matchmaking system, that they actually make enough changes, nuance the game out a bit more. When you have millions of players, there's no reason to have it grouped as tightly as it is. They can break it out into more
Agree.
groups, more technical groups,
Yeah.
like based on the stats, and still get plenty of
I do
players to play
agree.
a game.
Especially since my stats are crap. Because I haven't played in so long. I keep leaving and coming back, so it doesn't help.
Well, one of the that I will say that's one of the things it doesn't take into account. I've got tons of stats, and most of the games when I play are good enough. So I never work myself until this season. I rarely work myself downward. Every season I played just enough games to feel comfortable with it in the past 4 seasons. Still trying to keep my 1.0 KD, which, yeah, I'm not doing that this season. I've had zero luck. In fact, one game I died 3 times and got 0 kills. Oh, yeah,
That
yeah.
sucks.
It was your fault. You brought me in 3 times. You kept saving me,
sorry.
and then I kept dying again. It wasn't a good game.
Well, I was supposed to do. I'm
Look,
supposed to
look.
save you.
Sometimes you just gotta let me go. But the problem is, like, those stats are so small compared to all the stats I've built up over my lifetime. Over the past 3 years,
Right.
that it doesn't change the numbers. And that's because their matchmaking is not nearly as nuanced as it could be. Whether or not they'll change
Yeah.
that, I don't know. But it does not take into account the fact that over the last year, I've only played a handful of games. So it thinks, oh, he's still as good as he was 2 years ago. Because all of his stats over the course of his career look like this.
Right.
The problem is you get rusty. You get very rusty. And everyone else who's been playing, 400 hours a month doesn't.
Right.
Like, I'm very happy to have 1,100 kills on Revenant, whereas some people have tens of thousands of kills on their mains.
I have a bajillion. Yeah, I have bajillions. I don't have that many, sadly. I just haven't played enough. I stopped playing once they changed everything the way I didn't like it, and now that they're starting to kind of balance it back out, I'm kind of not hating it as much as I did.
Well, I mean, just for reference, the top octane in the world has 163,000 kills.
Oh my Jeebus. How'd you find that out?
Well, they actually did a story about the man a couple years ago.
Oh,
But
okay.
there's also there's a leaderboard that you can find.
Oh. Oh, I see. Leaderboards. Oh, it won't let me look at it for some reason. I clicked leaderboards and it said no. Because I was on the Apex page. So I could read off each character. I forgot to finish reading off the rest of the new characters. My bad.
Oh wow, the
There we go.
top Bloodhound has
So the new legends they've brought
205,000
on.
kills.
Nice. The new legends.
Sorry, I was just surprised by that. I thought, oh, the top Octane. I remember they did a story about him. He had a lot of kills, and then I switched to the top Bloodhound. And it's like, no, this guy's nuts.
Nice. The new characters they brought in, because I forgot to mention all of them. I only mentioned Lobo. Was Ash, Catalyst, Fuse, Horizon. I already said Lobo. Mad Maggie, Newcastle, Rampart, Seer, Valkyrie, and Vantage. Now, I did like Mad Maggie's story that they did when they brought her in. I don't know if I can't remember if I watched everyone else's. I probably did, but I don't remember them being as good as Mad Maggie's.
Well, Mad Maggie was an interesting one because she's technically part of Fuse's story. Like she was a background character in Fuse's story when Fuse showed up. And that was again back when there was so much story. Like we learned everything about Fuse. There was tons of stuff about his backstory, about Maggie, about the war in the worlds, Salvo, the worlds he's from, and the civil wars and the constant fighting and the rebellions. There was so much story back then. And then they brought in Maggie, and they brought her in with a decent amount of story, but they brought her in with like she's one of the ones who came in a way that doesn't seem to make any sense based on the reality of the world. And I'll say because this is Apex is a battle royale, and it's supposed to be a blood sport. It's supposed to be a death match. However,
Yeah.
the same legends have been doing this canonically for season after season after season. In fact, in some stories, the newest legend is canonically the winner, and they show them going off in the winner's drop ship, and everyone else sulking about it afterwards, which means they're not dead. And that's an important point about
Right.
a blood sport and a battle royale is that no one dies in it. These legends have been playing this game for seasons. Some of them win, some of them don't. Prior to season 1, Bloodhound canonically had won twice. But
Yep,
now, since then, different people have won. In fact, as part of the opening trailer for Vantage's season, she's on the winning squad. But again, that means no one dies. So, with Maggie's story, Maggie is a criminal. She's a rebel leader. She's fighting against the Syndicate and everything they stand for because of what they did to her homeworld of Salvo. And she's been fighting this battle her entire life. Well, she gets captured, sentenced to death, and they sentence her to death by the Apex games. And that's where things stop making sense. Why would you kick someone in the Apex games who has a death sentence, expecting them to die, when obviously no one actually dies in the games? So it's one of
Right.
those loopholes that hasn't made any sense canonically. And most
Yeah.
of their lore, most of their story makes perfect sense, but that's one that's always bothered me because it doesn't. In fact, canonically, because there is a voice line by Octane, canonically there are respawn stations.
Yep.
I'd love to know the technical details of how this works within the universe. They haven't given us enough information
Same.
for that, but like there is a voice line where Octane specifically says he wants you to hurry up and respawn so he can kill you again. So
Right.
it's obviously not a death sentence. There are obviously respawns, or maybe they're clones, maybe they're whatever. So throwing Maggie into that fight doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No.
But their lore doesn't always, then their storytelling doesn't always hit perfectly.
No. If my phone could stop going off, that'd be great. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, we could keep going on, but you all can look up the lore yourselves, because if we give you all the lore, what's the point of looking into the game and looking at the lore yourself? If you like a battle royale game that has lore and story to it, and that's sweaty and pretty competitive, this would definitely be your game. I mean, people say Fortnite's competitive, but honestly, I don't feel like it's as competitive as this game is. That's why I usually choose to play it more often. And they just now started adding story to that game. There wasn't any story to that game to begin with, I don't think. I don't know. I didn't play it until a year or two after it was out. So they might have done like the same thing that Apex did, was start adding lore into it, but I think their lore is kind of boring. This lore is definitely more interesting to me. So yeah, if you like those kind of games, this would definitely be your game. Do you have anything else to add,
No, I
Kuzo?
don't think so. I think it's, even though it's as sweaty and competitive as it is, and they don't always make the best design choices for casual players, it's still a game that I love. I hate it, but I love it.
Yeah.
It's, the graphics are beautiful, the characters are amazing, the lore is fun. The gunplay, as we said at the beginning, is actually very good. All the weapons are different,
Yes.
but all of them are good in their own ways. They take skill to learn, and once you've mastered them, they're easy to use. They're fun to use. So there's a lot of good to the game. I just hope they keep working on it to get it to a place where it's a good game for everybody and not just the top 2% of players.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Thank you for joining me,
You're
Quizo.
very welcome. It's fun to be here.
And don't forget to look up the lore. I promise you, the lore is amazing. It's on YouTube. It's on their website. If you go to the website and you just like scroll all the way to the back or go to the last page. And let's see, how many pages are there? I was just looking at the lore hub. They have a lore hub on the website. So, and you go all the way to the last page, which, yep, it's 4 pages. It'll give you quite a bit of the lore. So that way you can keep up, follow along. They've got Watson's father's letter to. So I thought that was really cute. I forgot all about that until I went back to the pages and was looking through it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, so make sure you go read the lore before you play the game for sure, because I feel like it makes it more fun that way. At least I thought so. Once they started adding lore, it made it more fun to play until, like I said, I was like mad about the changes, but I remember telling you, you're like, yeah, you missed out on this lore. I'm like, crap, why did I stop playing? Oh yeah, because I hated the game. Because you were like, yeah, this little piece was in the game. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of fun lore. There's people have gotten into relationships. I mean, it's very interesting. It's very deep, and all these characters are very real. They do a good job of that.
Yep. So if you like that kind of game, definitely go check this one out and give it a try. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast, and I hope you will come back and listen to more. I will eventually do this regularly. We'll see. I don't know. But don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review if you like what you have heard today. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope everyone has a great day.